It is Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at Factor. And don't forget about getting your Factor question of the weekend by Thursday night so we can make you famous and read your question on Friday's show. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. Producer Dan is along for the ride as well. Start off with a tip of the cap, and I'm going to pull back the curtain here a little bit. I had a really, really nice story about Manny Machado going to visit a school in San Diego area because they had the highest increase in attendance over a 2-month period. So he showed up at his Padres number 13 and was having high fives with all of the kids and stuff, which was awesome. I was like, that's going to be our tip of the cap. And then I saw what happened in Seattle where a guy actually caught consecutive foul balls. I was like, I'm sorry. That's just way too cool. Consecutive foul balls? Come on, Plouffe.
No, that's amazing. That's every fan's dream right there, number one. And there's like no little kids around, so people aren't like, hey, give it to the kid. I think adults, like, they want balls just as much as kids, but you get peer pressure into giving them away, which you should do if there's a kid around. But this is amazing, man. Have you ever caught a foul ball at a game?
I told you this, I think, before. I have caught 0 foul balls.
Insane. Let's go. Step it up a little bit.
Hey, I was at Andrew Real.
Even I have caught one.
You have?
Yeah. At a Dodger game not too long ago, last year. I caught one.
Did you give it away?
I was with Teddy. Teddy got it.
Why'd you give it to Teddy? Teddy's got a million big league baseballs.
What do you think Teddy would say if, like, Dad, you didn't give me that ball? Like, what? He would think that I didn't like him.
Oh, really? Teddy's going to think that a daddy who
it was literally the last pitch. We were getting up to leave the game. It's like 7th inning or something like that. I'm standing up. I have my glove because, of course, and the ball came right to me. Boom, caught it. Like, no big deal. Gave it to Teddy.
Who hit it?
I want to say it was Chris Taylor.
Okay, Joe Flacco hit it. The closest I ever came to a foul ball was at Andrew Real's first grade birthday party, and at Old Cleveland Municipal Stadium. Paul Molitor, your guy, fouls it off. It hops. I stick my hand out, and a dude right in front of me, some grown man, stuck his huge meat hook right in front and picked it off. And he put it in one of those plastic helmets that, like, these days you get nachos served in. But back then you just bought the plastic helmets. And he had it under his seat the whole time, and I kept staring at it. I was like, maybe I could steal it and make a run for it. And then I realized I was like 7 years old. And where am I going to run to anyway in downtown Cleveland? So that was the closest I ever came.
All right, 7 years old. That was the closest you've ever came.
Why are you laughing at me?
I don't feel like you've been to a lot of baseball games.
I have. There's been a few other times. Almost caught one in Boston a few years ago. It didn't happen. All right, we're going to start with one of the most disappointing teams in the show, the Toronto Blue Jays. They won in extra innings in Baltimore. Dalton Varsho, boy, he's actually had a solid year. I mean, both sides of the baseball. He hit a home run last night. He also took one away to help preserve the victory there. Afterward, his skipper, John Schneider, said, you don't want to say that May 13th is a huge game, but this is a huge fucking win. How huge was it? And will it propel the last place Jays to better days, in your opinion?
It was a big win. I watched this game. I watched Varsho do his thing. That was amazing. That was right after Rushman hits the homer. Then he robs, was that O'Hearn that hit that one? And then he hits one himself. Great all-around game for him. I love that they had the moniker last night of the Flu Jays because they got a virus going around the clubhouse. I thought that was really cool. Mm-hmm. Will this propel them to better days? I think when you have victories like this, Chris, where things are bad in the clubhouse, the record's not there, you're sick, you're playing against one of, if not the best teams in the American League, and you go out and kind of like steal a game away, like that can propel you and tell you as a team, like, hey, like, we're still good. Corbin Burns had some really good quotes about the Blue Jays as well, like almost like anti-bulletin board material. He's talking about how tough of a team they are. Like, sometimes you need something like that to believe in yourself again. Now, do I think this Jays team is like a juggernaut, and are they going to, rekindle what they had a couple of years ago? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if the lineup is as long as it has been before. I think it can be pretty top heavy. I know Vlad's been going well right now. Would love for him to hit for some more power. Like, some homers will be awesome. But there are games, and I don't know if this is one of them. They sure seem to think about like it is, but there are games that really bring that winning mentality back out in you. And like I said, when you're down at your lowest point and you can grab a game like this from a very good team, like, it could be one of those games because you have to believe. And it sounds like, they're starting to believe in that clubhouse. So I will say yes, like it can propel them. Will it propel them? That's to be seen, I guess.
Well, here's the problem. Do you know the last time they won a series?
April, like was it the first series? Something like that?
No, it wasn't that long ago. It was April 19th through the 21st when they had a series out in San Diego. But that's a long time for a
That's
talented
almost a month
team.
ago. Yeah.
You and I have the same opinion about this team. Like every time we look at them and every time we talk about them, it's the same discussion. So I'm kind of sick of it. The only reason I brought it up today was you don't hear managers come out and say that's a huge fucking win for us. Like that's literally what John Schneider said. And I don't know if it's because he's grasping at straws and trying to do whatever he can, because I think he knows what could happen next, right? If they don't turn this shit around, they're going to end up selling a bunch of ball players and they're going to have a new manager in the house, if not more than that. So they are doing whatever they can to salvage this season. And so if you want to put even more importance on just one of 162, go for it. Like, I don't have any problem with him saying this because Toronto's got to do something.
Yes.
They've had a few major faults. First of all, they have the worst bullpen in the sport. And we talk about this all the time. If your bullpen sucks, it's impossible to get rolling. Like the best you could be is right around 500. And that's not going to be good enough to get you into the American League playoffs. Number two, their dudes that we expect to be dudes are being doo-doo. And that's just not good enough. Now, Vlad has shown signs. His peripheral numbers have been very good, right? His exit velo, his expected batting average, things of that nature. Now, in May, he started to turn it around. They've played 10 games in this month. He's gotten hits in 9 of them. He's gotten multiple hits in 4 of them, but he has 2 extra base hits. You already mentioned this. You get it going. Bo Bichette, they have moved him all around the order. Last night, because of the Flu Jays, he went again from 6th to 4th. He hasn't found his comfort zone. They need guys to be the guys. And I want to believe in them. I picked them to make the World Series. I think they're a real interesting team. I don't think they're super popular, but I think the sport's more fun when a team like this is in it.
Yeah, I don't know why aren't they popular?
I think that they've got some guys who carry themselves with a certain attitude that doesn't rub off on some fan bases real well.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that I think Manoah obviously has that. I think that people expect more out of Vlad, and that's not an attitude thing. I think that's just a thing. I think that some people harbor ill will still toward George Springer a little bit.
Okay.
And I think that when you are expected to be good and you're not, people are like, man, y'all suck. Why aren't you better?
I mean, they got one guy, with regular playing time with an OPS over 800. Like, that's just not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done. So offensively, they have to go. I know Bassett and Gossman haven't started the year off particularly well either. You mentioned the bullpen. There is room for improvement. But to answer your question, like, will this propel them? I mean, you got to still go out and do it. It's nice to have the quote unquote character wins and dig deep and get a victory, like I said, but you still got to go out and win some baseball games. I think Vladdy will pick it up. A 391 slug for him right now. That's just, you can't, not from that guy. Like, he's got to produce more. Like, there are certain guys on teams that have to give you, seasons. And if they don't, then this is kind of what happens. So a lot of it does fall on Vladdy and Bo.
All right. Meantime, let's stay on the East Coast, move to the National League, where the Mets fall to 4th place in their division after falling in extras to Philadelphia. What was bigger, that Philly came back from 2 down against Edwin Diaz to force extras and then eventually win, or the blown check swing call that allowed Whit Merrifield to walk in the 9th and tie the game?
I mean, it's got to be the blown check swing call. This is a tough one for Mets fans. I was watching this game as well. Even at a bat there, Whit Merrifield, he took a slider way off the plate. It was called a strike. Okay, so you're like, okay, that's not great. Next pitch is a fastball, dots the corner up. Makeup call. I think it was Gabe Morales behind the plate. Makeup call by Gabe Morales. So they missed 2 calls in a row, and then this check swing. Look at this right here. It is so blatantly a swing. I don't know how you missed that one. So yeah, Whit ends up walking. Then Alec Boehm works a count, ends up getting hit. It's a really, really tough way to go there, especially, you got your closer on the mound. You want to win the game. Bryson Stott with a nice at bat before that, but you can't miss calls like that, Chris. 3-2 against Whit Merrifield. Slider coming next pitch probably strikes him out if I had to guess. It's difficult. That's a tough one for the umpires. A tough sequence of events for the umpires right there.
And a tough one for the Mets, who had come back the previous night, a walk-off by Brandon Nimmo, who wasn't even supposed to play. They're trying to get some momentum against the team in front of them in that division. That is a huge, huge loss. To Edwin Diaz's credit, he stood there and he was like, I've got to be better. And he's hit a little bit of a slump, right? If you just look at some of his numbers, this was according to Jason Stark. This is his first blown save of 2 or more runs since July 17th of 2021. This sort of stuff just does not happen against him, even when he's not going great. Last night, he walked 2 hitters. He hadn't walked a batter since April 20th. And it was just the second time all season he walked more than 1 in an inning. So this is on him. The call, here's what I didn't like. Carlos Mendoza was mad, but he was mad from the dugout. That's one of those, you got to get your ass tossed. I don't care, right? Even if the other day we talked about Ali Marmol going at Alan Porter to fire up the troops, right? Even though we both feel like it's a little late for him to do that, to wait a quarter of the way through the season. There's not a lot of times where you can get super mad at umpires these days, but check swings, balls and strikes, and certainly with a game on the line, that's when you got to lose your shit. Like, I don't know why he didn't hop over the rail. What was he? Was he seat belted into the dugout or something?
I think there's a little bit more to it. Yes, you want to go do it, but also you don't want to be out there and having your closer on the mound and not being able to throw pitches. Like, I think that there's something to that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that was just it was tough for them. And then Diaz threw a bunch of pitches. I mean, he probably threw close to 30 pitches in that inning. They have a day game today, so he can't be available today, I'd assume.
No,
it's a tough one to lose that one.
Well, did he pitch Sunday night? I think he might have pitched because they were losing all weekend. His numbers in back-to-back games are not good this year. So that's something that the Mets are going to have to look at. I know it's your closer. I know you want to have to use him if you're in certain situations. But that's something maybe to pay attention to in a guy who's 100%. Trying to rebound from that sort of injury. That does stink, though. Mets fans are feeling it.
Did you see Whit Merrifield's reaction? Like, oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
He just chopped the bat and was like, don't look at me. I'm not making eye contact with anybody. Let me get down to first base.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Baseball fans, question for you. Do you hate foul balls? Not the one that Josh Rojas hit on consecutive pitches to that dude. You know what I'm talking about. No matter how hard you scrub them in the shower, they still stank. Well, I need you to ditch the soap, step up to the plate with Mando whole body deodorant. It was developed by a doctor. It is a game-changing formula. It is safe for your entire body and knocks out odor like a champ. Now, Mando is made with mandelic acid, which picks off odor at the source. It keeps you fresh for up to 72 hours. That doesn't mean that you can't clean it. Can't go 72 hours without cleaning. Still got to clean it. But Mando is available in solid sticks, invisible cream, body wash, cleaning bars, and deodorant wipes for on-the-go use. It is oh so important, particularly as we get to those summer months, right? Starts heating up outside. You're doing more and more activity. You might be playing with the kids. You might be coaching some teams. You might be going for a run or a bike ride or whatever it is. You know what happens to you south of the equator. It can get a little nasty. You don't want to be going to some barbecue and all of a sudden somebody's like, what's going on around here? You're not going to be like, yo, that's my crotch. So clean it up. The whole body deodorant. Mando is seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, package, belly button, butt cracks, stinky crevices, stomach folds, and oh so much more. It's clinically proven to control odor better than shower with soap. And the Mando starter pack, it is perfect for brand new customers because it comes with that solid stick deodorant, the cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash, deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Now, luckily, we have a discount code to help you get hooked on your favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. Brand new customers, you're going to get $5 off the starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. So use that code baseball today at shopmando.com. That is shopmando.com. Baseball today. Start saving money. Start smelling fresh.
I'm wearing it right now, Chris. I literally am wearing Mando right now.
Wait, hold on. Lift. Other pit. Lift up your other pit. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
It is good.
Forgive me if I don't check the other crevices. I'll just take your word for it. All right, a pair of struggling teams have lost their starting center fielders indefinitely. The Giants' Jung-Ho Lee out with a dislocated shoulder after running into a wall. They hope to find out a little bit more about him soon. Meanwhile, the Reds' TJ Friedl, who injured his wrist during the spring, just came back and played 6 games before getting dotted on his thumb, is down 4 to 5 weeks. Both are losing teams. They started the season with playoff expectations. Do you still believe in one, both, or neither?
First, I want to just give a big air hug to TJ Friedl, because you do that in spring training, miss some time, come back, finally I'm back doing what I love, and then out of your control, you get hit by a pitch and break another bone. He's probably in a dark place mentally. Good vibes to him. Do I believe in either of these teams? Honestly, not particularly. They offensively, they haven't really swung the bats well. I could go and talk to you about what their OPS is and all that. The bullpens haven't been great. I think some of the starting pitching has been good for the team. Some of it hasn't been good. But here's the thing. The National League is so top-heavy, Chris, and there's 6 spots to give in the playoffs these days. I think that one of these teams could be in the playoff race. I don't know which one particularly, but look, Philly and Atlanta are going to be in there. Milwaukee and Chicago, I guess you can say both of them are going to be in there. And then Dodgers for sure. Padres, can the Reds or the Giants push the Padres or the Cubs or the Brewers for a playoff spot? 100%. The talent is there on these teams, but you got to go and do it eventually. The guys that the Giants have brought in to produce for them this year offensively just haven't really done it. Chapman hasn't done anything. Soler hasn't done anything. You need these guys to get back and play like they can. And things can normalize throughout a season. We always talk about regressing to the mean. That goes both ways. You can start out slow, catch fire, you're going to end up average. I think that can happen with both these teams on the offensive front, but they have to show it. There hasn't been too many signs of life, if you will, from either of these teams. And you could point to the Giants and say, well, that's going to happen for sure, because these guys have track records. The Reds, I don't know how much you can really say that. They're banking on some young guys to just, I guess, produce like they think they can produce. If I had to pick one of the teams to believe in to really push in a playoff race, I think I'm going to go the Giants. I know the Reds have had some starters throw well this year, but I kind of believe in that pitching staff a little bit more there in San Francisco. So I believe in them more, but both these teams got to go out and do it. It's there for the taking. There's enough spots to go and be in the playoff race and get and sneak into the playoffs. But you got to do it on the field.
I think I put the whammy on the Reds at the beginning of the year when I said they'd win the Central. They're 7 games back. They're in last place. Both these teams last night, I don't know if you caught the late games, had late leads, blew them. Reds, it was even worse. They came back and took the lead on a Mike Ford triple, and then Diaz, bad night for the Diaz brothers, right? One's blowing a save of multiple runs on the East Coast. The other one, who's had a really tough year, is blowing a save out in the desert.
Mike Ford looked like you running around the bases, right?
I know. That's what I feel like. There's at least once a week, I always point to the screen. I say, hey, Michelle, that's what I would look like in a major league uniform right there. She's like, no, you're not that bad.
I think you might wear a better uniform than him, to be honest.
I could. Mike Ford's an Ivy Leaguer?
No, I did not, but now I love that. Really?
Yes.
Well, let me guess. Brown?
I'm pretty sure he went to Princeton. Well, Dan, you're going to have to look that one up.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, he did. He went to Princeton. I think he pitched there, too. He threw in the low 90s.
I love that for him. I know 2 Princeton guys now, and they both kind of look like Mike Ford. So,
You know more than that.
Do I? I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Chris Young, the GM of the Rangers.
He's a big boy.
And not only, obviously, did he pitch, he played hoops there. And who was his baseball and basketball teammate there?
I don't know.
Guy you played against. Will Venable.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's Will with that. 1 L. W-I-L, I believe. Anyway, I think we lost
list for next manager, right?
I think we lost track of where I was going with this, which is fine. You made all the good points about the Giants, right? They brought in guys. They spent a lot of money, and what we did was think they spent wisely. It's not only the guys that their best pickup far and away is the guy who started last night's game in Jordan Hicks. Like, he's been phenomenal, but everybody else, Blake Snell's on a rehab assignment and hasn't gotten going. Soler is barely a 600 OPS guy. Chapman, I think they're going to miss Lee. I like his energy. I know his overall numbers are not great. I get that. I think some of his expected numbers are a little bit better. You can take that for whatever it's worth. But he does provide energy, like both offensively and defensively. I was watching when he ran into the fence the other day against the Reds. I was like, oh my God.
That was a strange hit. I kept looking to see where his shoulder hit and how it got dislocated. But you could tell right away how much pain he was in.
Right. Well, it's one of those fences that isn't straight. It's got the padding and the chain link. I don't know.
We got to fix the fences in baseball.
Hey, it's way better than in the 80s. Go look at what Eric Davis was running into in Cincinnati. It was like freaking a piece of plywood.
You figured after Aaron Judge did whatever he did to his toe at Dodger Stadium last year that we'd completely overhaul the entire outfield fences in Major League Baseball, but we haven't yet.
We have not. Anyway, the difference between these two teams is, there are veterans that hopefully know how to get out of whatever season-long slumps they're in. I don't know how easy that is, but at least if you have the experience and you've done it before. The Reds, who's the leader in that everyday lineup? That was Friedel. So when they came back, and also look at his numbers from last year. He was almost a 20-30 guy. Very, very important to their team. So who's the guy they're going to rely on? They have some talented players, right? Spencer.
They really do. They have very talented players on this Reds team, but it's some of it's lack of experience. Some of it's, hey man, baseball is just hard. It's. Do you have a team that you favor? I think I said I would favor the Giants because I think there is the track record there, but
yeah, I would say that as well. And also I think that some of the teams that they're going to have to leapfrog, they'll get to stare in the face 13 total times between the Padres and the Diamondbacks. I think the Reds, I don't count the Cardinals and the Pirates as wild card contenders. I just don't this year. So it means it's either the Cubs or the Brewers, a team that doesn't win the division that they would have to leap over. I don't know. I don't feel great about either of them, but I would say the Giants more.
If you would have told me that Ellie was going to have an 877 OPS at this time, already stolen 25 bases, if you had told me that Hunter Green and Andrew Abbott and Lodolo would have ERAs in the low threes, like that, these are all the things you would say, okay, the Reds are going to be there, but everything else around them just hasn't gone well.
Yep. All right, speaking of not going well, the Houston Astros, their season has been miserable, but some good news. Alex Bregman had his best game of the year on Monday. 6 career multi-homer game after he posted just 1 home run in his first 144 at-bats this year. Bregman, as we all know, is in his walk year. Do you think after the trade deadline, he is still wearing the only uniform he has ever worn at the big league level?
Well, I think this all depends on where the Astros are at in the standings. That's my take here. I mean, what are they, 16 and 25? Let me look that up. 16 and 25, 4th place in the AL West, but still, can I give up on these guys yet? I just don't think I can. So if they're anywhere near contention, I think he stays with the Astros. I think they offer him a qualifying offer, and then he goes somewhere else. That's what I think will happen. If they continue to struggle and decide, hey man, like this is probably not going to happen for us, the playoffs this year, then 100% I think he gets traded. And I think there's so many places that could use him. I think the Brewers could use him. I think the Cubs can use him. I think the Yankees could use him. You could go on and on and on, contending teams that could use a guy like Alex Bregman. So it's all contingent on where they are in the standings. But in my opinion, still, I'm not ready to do this. I'm ready to give up on the Cardinals. I think they're done. Can't do that with the Astros. They're about to get healthy with some pitchers. I just think that there's more in this team. In my mind, I can't give up. So I'll answer your question and say, no, I think he ends up with staying with the Astros, qualifying offer, all of that, but they got to get back in this thing. They got to do it quickly.
He will still be an Astro at the beginning of August.
Okay.
He will not be an Astro at the beginning of August next year. I think he's a goner. I think that, one of the things the Astros have done is they have let some of the loved ones go, right? George Springer, Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander, Zach Greinke. Some of those guys were indifferent, but Carlos Correa, some of those guys were in different boats than Bregman, who's still only 30 years old. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
It feels like he should be about 40, but he's only 30. And I think that at some point, they just extended Altuve. They've already extended Jordan. They extended Javier. They're going to have to figure out their pitching because I'm not so sure they're all the way in on Framber. We've always felt like there's been a little contention between the organization and him with some stuff that's gone on. And now with the injuries and things of that nature, how much money do you want to pour into that guy? So I think that they're going to have to, and obviously the biggest one is Tucker, right? Tucker is a phenomenal two-way player that can run too. He can win you ball games even if he takes an 0 for 3 or 0 for 4. So I think that's the guy who ends up getting the money, but I don't think he gets traded in part because I don't see the Astros being 10 games out in July. And I think that if they're 4 or 5 games out, they're going to say these guys have done too much for us to kind of turn and run the other way.
Yeah, I agree. Like if the clubhouse has any say in this, which I don't know if they really do, I think you're right. Like ownership kind of owes it to those players there that have given them so much to try again. If they're not so far out of it, you're right. If they're over 10 games out in July, and then it's a different story. But if they're anywhere close, I think they say, hey, like we've been here before. We can go. Why can't we win 12 games in a row? Like that can happen to this clubhouse.
And I'm usually against I'm usually against keeping a guy and just saying, oh, we'll just take the comp pick, right? Because comp picks are a crapshoot. You don't know how the draft is going to fall.
Trade.
What's
right?
that?
So it was a trade, right? Essentially, crapshoot.
Except that you're hand picking a guy that you've already scouted, right? You don't know.
Is that what drafting is?
No, not necessarily. I mean, drafting is you hope that a certain guy falls to you. Here, you're going out and seeking something and saying, well, the only way we'll make this trade is if we get that dude right there that I've been watching. There's a little bit of a difference. I understand. Now, the other thing is that Alex Bregman's making more than $30 million this year. So if you prorate that over the last 2 months, it's still $10-ish million.
Really?
That's what I believe it says. Am I reading that wrong?
Didn't he sign like a 7-year, $100 million?
Yeah, he's
deal?
making $30.5 million this year.
Wow.
Yeah, they backloaded it.
It must have shot up, huh?
So my my point is unless the Astros eat some of that money, they're not going to get an amazing prospect haul for a guy who's going to be a rental for a couple of months and not playing that great anyway. Because if he gets traded, the assumption is that he hasn't improved and the team hasn't improved, right?
Well, he could improve and the team record not be.
Yeah, I suppose that can happen.
I just think that they're too similar. Like you mentioned the money. I don't know. It depends because their teams could really, really use this guy, regardless of what his numbers are with the Astros this year. Let's just say, and what's he at right now? He is at 218, 288, 3. It's bad. 615 OPS. Even at this point, though, Chris, this point when he's not doing well, but coming off a 2-homer night, I think teams would rely on the track record with a guy like Alex Bregman saying, we think, he's hitting 218 now. He's a career 270 hitter. He's probably going to hit 300 the rest of the way. That's how these things work. They really do.
Oh, yeah, I get
Unless
it.
there's something significantly wrong with him, he's injured, or he's not going to end the year with a 615 OPS.
And his playoff history, a 790 career OPS, 19 homers. Last year, he had 4 in 49 plate appearances.
Him on the Brewers, give it to me. Give me the Brewers and Alex Bregman.
Okay, cool. All right, we got one more thing coming your way, but first, Trevor Plouffe with a word about this.
This show's partially brought to you by DraftKings DFS. Our John Boy DFS League rolls on this week and all season long on DraftKings. You can make your lineup and compete against jam creators each Tuesday night of the baseball season for a shot at cash prizes. I know Jake's always tweeting about this, how good he is at it. Shelfie's always trying to do his thing. Jolly, whoever the personalities that you like at Jumbo Media, you can compete against them, and you can win some additional prizes from Jumbo Media as well. The top finisher each month won $100 in SeatGeek credit from Jumbo Media, and the top leaderboard finisher at the end of the regular season, Chris, they'll win 2 World Series tickets. That's unbelievable. If you want to get in on the action, it's not too late to sign up for tonight's contest. Click the link in the description to join the league and then enter the contest on the league homepage. Join the John Boy Media DFS League today. Back to the show.
All right, finally, you remember last year when Ronald Acuna became the first ever 40-70 player? It happened in Atlanta against the Chicago Cubs, and the Cubs broadcast team said, okay, cool moment, but...
And we're really stopping the game.
Can we get the base after the game? I mean, this is pretty absurd.
Okay, so the Cubs were in Atlanta last night for the first time since that. And what was waiting for them in the Cubs visiting broadcast booth? None other than a Ronald Acuna bobblehead holding up the base. So credit to my good friend Boog Shambi and Jim DeShays, who are sitting there smiling, taking it, saying, okay, Braves, you got us. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how good is the performance from the Braves marketing team or whomever handled that?
It's pretty good. Whoever runs all these social media accounts for teams, like they have the freaking memory of an elephant, and like it seems like they just can't wait to do stuff like this. You know what I would have done if I was Boog right there? I would have taken that base, I would have chopped it off with my hand, and I said, I'm going to give this to you after the game, okay? No, I'm just kidding. It was great. I love stuff like this. That's it's amazing. It's part of the game. Like you want these interactions. They're both very happy that this happened because look here, we're talking about it.
Yeah, well, Boog's a good friend of mine. I got to reach out to him and ask him if he can snag me a Ronald Acuna bobblehead. I need it for my collection up here. So that was, to me, that's a 10++.
Do you agree with them though? I know we talked about it last year, but I don't remember what you said. Like, where were you on that? Like, I don't think they should have stopped the game either, to be honest with you, especially at the point of where it was.
I don't remember.
I know they had planned the whole thing. I think that's what we said. They had planned the whole thing already. They didn't know it was going to happen in the bottom of the 10th inning.
I think something like that. Right. There was relative importance, and the Cubs, I think, were still in the, in it at that point in the season. I don't remember exactly the situation, but yeah, it was probably a little rough. It probably should have been changed, but it's very funny. That's great. That's good humor. I laugh at that. Don't forget to get your factor question of the weekend by Thursday night. We had a great one last week, so if it didn't get picked and it's still appropriate, resend it in, get creative, get funny, get thought-provoking. We want to be able to use it on Friday's show. We are back at it again on Wednesday. We'll probably be live right around 12:15 Eastern, 9:15 a.m. Pacific. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Wednesday on Baseball Today, presented to you by Factor.